on the Family's Garage, it's all about rockers.
LMC hooked us up with complete full-length outer rockers. Look at that. Get a really good cross-sectional view of the rocker. I bet somebody looked for that for hours. Hey, before we get into this video, I just wanted to share this with you real quick. I was going through the channel metrics. I noticed that 88% of you guys are not subscribers. Like, what are you doing, man? The little red button right here. You click that button right over here. Doesn't cost you anything. It just really helps us out. We really appreciate you guys for doing that. Thank you. This header goes on here somewhere. So we've already showed you guys why these things rust out. Let's show you how to remove them, how to replace them, and how to get them looking good again. No turning back now. Look at that. I bet nobody knows how that happened. Check out what is in here. Ooh, it's hot. So, something definitely not the right way to do it. Yeah. So now you can see what we're working with. And for some reason, this is completely full of rust that came from somewhere. LMC hooked us up with complete full-length outer rockers, inner rockers, and cab corners fitted like that. So I went ahead and bought the full pieces because I didn't know how much I was gonna need. Until you grind all this off, you don't know how bad it really is. I bought these pieces for both sides of the truck. It was less than $200. I got new door hinge pins, strikers, inner and outer rockers, and cab corners for less than 200 bucks. Don't forget your safety glasses and gloves. This stuff flies everywhere. Get a really good cross-sectional view of the rocker. You can see your inner structure, your outer structure, how the floor plan connects to help you rebuild that. So this is your cab support cross brace. You can see how good that metal is. There's nothing wrong there, so we're gonna slice right along this edge. You can also see in this shot that the inner rocker goes on the outside of that. So we'll have to drill out those spot welds, get that all cleaned up, and make sure our new inner rocker piece is attached right there. Oh. I'll cut this down here. And I'm gonna cut it about here. And I know I'm using that piece. So I'm gonna cut this down, give me a much easier piece to work with before final trim and final fit. For the outer rocker, that is. Well, just setting that in there, it fits pretty good. Obviously, it's larger than the hole. We'll keep trimming until it fits perfectly. You want about a 40 thou gap or so. I've got some pretty cool tools to show you that'll give you the perfect gap and hold your metal all in great spot. But that's not bad for a rough cut. We have 3 of the 4 patch panels made for this side. So we have the floor patch, which I'm just going to overlap. I'm not going to butt weld. It curves down. This is actually a piece of the inner rocker. That is all that's left of that inner rocker, which starts that big. All I've got left of that is laying there on the floor. The outer rocker, luckily, so far, I've got all that left, as I only really needed this front 8 or 10 inches. So this outer piece I've got held in with magnets. That's your outer rocker. This inner rocker piece goes underneath the floor pan here. Picks up the cab mount metal here. We'll burn that in with some rosette welds. We'll butt weld it here. We've got the entire interior out. Only thing left to come out is the steering column. We've already started our patch panels, inner, outer rockers, floor patch. We're not sure how that's going to end up, but I do have a full cab corner there. This bedside is getting replaced, as well as all the glass and gaskets that will all be new. The exciting part is part of the suspension kit has already arrived. These are the DJM 3-inch drop lower control arms with their shocks. We have some 2-inch drop springs here, but there is some controversy over whether you can run drop arms and drop springs. So once we figure that out, we may end up having to get a drop spindle. So like I said, the other side came out so well, replacing the whole rocker, and while this is solid, it's ugly, and it's going to take a lot of body work to get this as nice as that side. So we need to cut all this out so that this can be trimmed to where we're going to actually replace the corner. That way we can blend out all the seams. So I've already cut across and down, and you can tell there's nothing there. Somebody made this corner out of Bondo. It really shouldn't separate like that. So the cab corner is completely full of bugs, rust. So we'll get rid of that, trim out as much as we need to, and get the new one pushed in. Drop it. Show you what I'm talking about back here. So when these are sitting there, they sit about like that. The gap is here for your rubber to snap in. You can see you don't have rocker all the way back up here. So be careful, pay attention back here before you make your cuts, so you don't cut away too much metal. Also, the LMC inner rocker covers come with too much metal. I don't understand why, but it makes the inner rocker structure, and then it joggles over which would be underneath your rubber door seal. Then it turns back up. That turning back up makes the step here into the floor pan, which gradually disappears at the very corner where they're all gone. But this piece here, you don't need that at all. I don't even know why that's there. If that's some kind of stamping process or what, but you pretty much need to slice it right along here, right off the bat, and get rid of that. It's super confusing because that'll make you want to drop it down way too low. It needs to be up with this corner of your floor pan matching this corner. This big flat piece actually makes the side of your seat tray and your fuel tank space there. But again, it only goes to there. It doesn't make this back corner. If your truck's rotted out back here by the seatbelt bolt and in the back corner here, you're gonna have to buy the floor pan piece to repair that. There's one little spot there. There we go. So there we go. Inner and outer rocker removed as once. You can see that was pretty good. However, we had bubbling clear back to here. Before we mark all this for our final cuts, another reason for leaving that cab corner there was to give you a line of reference of where the body line used to be. Up here is going to be easy because you have the fender mount piece, but back here, if you cut that off, you'd be guessing where your contour goes. So I've got that perfectly lined up there. I've Calicoed it there so it can't move. We're gonna go ahead and drill the front, get that matched up, then we'll know where our outer rocker goes. With just a few strategic cuts, it's really fitting really well. We chopped the end off we didn't need here. We pie cut it right here so this piece can eventually follow once we get that all sorted out. We've got, what I didn't show you on camera was I slid this back into place. With that temporarily mounted to make sure I wasn't going too far down below, because the inner fits inside the outer and they get welded together. This piece will be butt welded to this piece. We'll cut through both pieces of metal, the new piece and the substrate. That way they'll be a perfect match, just like we did on the other side. So on the driver's side here, you can see this rocker is pretty much bad front to back. I want to cut the top off and show you what the whole inside of this thing looks like from front to back to see the devastation from the poor drainage. If you were curious what rotted out this side, check that out. So that is 3 inches thick of just rust and probably what looks like a mouse, some seam sealer. There is a hole there. What was supposed to happen, any debris or water in here was supposed to run out this hole right here. I did give you a cool little ramp here. That's not sealed to stop it from getting back and rotting out your cab corner, but ooh, oh, hey, that's nice. Well, we're pretty close. Trying to get this all off. It's still solid at the cab mount here on the corner, which is a good thing. Wonder what surprises are in here. Lots of fiberglass.
Drop it.
All right, we went ahead and smeared our polyester body filler into place here. Just a rough coat. Went ahead and went clear past the door latch. There was some scale up here that we smoothed up, but the factory primer is still there, so I'm not gonna do anything but smooth it up there, and we'll just smooth it all in, make it nice and smooth, because it's inside the door. I mean, it is what it is, but there's nothing that says you can't start knocking down the sharp edges while it's still tacky. Yes, it will gum up your paper really fast. However, it also knocks it down really fast. So I'm using my old paper, and I'm just gonna knock the high spots off. Have to help this dry just a little bit faster. I like to put a solid color on here. I chose primer because it's what I had and I wanted to cover the bare metal. It's been 65 degrees, humid and raining here for days, so stuff really rusts overnight. But getting this solid color on here, you can start to see things. You can see the square where the door striker is. You can see the spot welds from this plate being welded in. You can see that I haven't dug out all my seam sealer yet through here. You can see the factory spot welds. There's a very faint line you can see of where we did our patch. So once this cures, that's gonna need one more. But I don't see, and I can just barely see our patch right there. I'll probably end up knocking those two in with a hammer. Just tapping those in lightly, getting those a little bit more flush, those two spots. A little bit more filler right here. Our repair line is right here. Get that to just bury a little bit, because if it shows up in this, it'll definitely show up in the paint. Never mind the sanding dust. I think it's time to put this door on and see if our patch panel is lined up at all. I brought a door in earlier so it could dry. Like I said, it's been just raining nonstop, but doors are so heavy. Oh. Is that near where it goes? Ooh, not terrible. What do you say? What do you say? Oh, yes. Maybe another bolt, because I just don't trust it. Got all the metal replaced in this cab corner and rocker. I'm really liking the shape. Remember, you're just trying to get a basic shape. Body filler will make up the last, few sixteenths to get it straight, but you just want it, when you rub your hand across it, nothing sticks out. We're a little low on the weld, which is fine. There's a repair on the door right here. See how I'm mapping the area without even looking? We're a little low through the weld on the back, which is fine. We're a little low right at the seam, but that's kind of what you want. So, unless you're like a metalsmith, which I am not. So I'm really happy with this. So now we're gonna mix up our body filler. We got the Eastwood polyester, the really good stuff. And we're gonna coat this entire area. And then we'll bring out our specially shaped sanding blocks to get this corner we're looking for, to get this edge we're looking for. We got to put body caulk in the seam here between the cab corner and the rocker. Boop. Basically, you're mixing this up until it's the same color all the way through. While you're putting this on, remember how you mapped out the area with your hand and you could tell where it was a little lower. You're gonna make sure, I mean, you're not gonna get this done in one coat, but you wanna make sure you get enough material where you know it's low, so you can start building up what you're looking for. Using 80 grit, we're just gonna follow this corner. Give us that nice round corner we're looking for, and then we have the flat ones for the flat spot. And when you're in a thin spot like this, again, we're initial shaping with 80 grit. Do a crosshatch pattern to try to get that curve you're looking for. At the end, your hand will tell you what you really need.
Drop it.
We're not worried about building our door jamb at this time. We're just worried about getting this contour. Once we get this contour, we'll know how we got to smooth and shape this corner. But the byproduct now is we're actually matching the door already. We're still low in the corner here. I can see where it didn't even sand at all. And then, you know, there's all your filler. It's like February 1st. You should not be alive. Really happy with how this is turning out. We've got the cab corner all sanded in nice and smooth. We've got our rocker. Look at this thing. Looking really good. We've got a little bit of spot putty on here. Taken care of, had a pinhole here and there, a couple pinholes. I wanted to go ahead and fill in these spot wet divots. They kept sticking out to me. I didn't like them. Fill those in. Fill these couple of pinholes here. We'll get this final sanded and go ahead and get another coat of this base coat on there just to see if we like it. We're gonna end up sanding back through all this stuff to get it in a nice like epoxy sealer before we paint it, but I just want to get a visual representation of what it's going to look like to make sure this is the color I want to paint it. Yes, here we go. Look at that. So we just sprayed some color on here. Number one, to protect it while we finish the rest of the body work. Also, this is our color, 65 GTO Reef Turquoise. Really looks good on this truck. This is not final paint. You can tell because if you look up in the light here, you can see all the sanding scratches. With a metallic, you really need to go down to 600. If this was going to be a solid green, you could get away with 400, but being metallic, you really got to go to 600. So I'm about to call this section of the video done. I don't really think I need to show it to you twice. But this side over here, we are down to a nice gap. About to start our body work. Really happy with door fitment. The door fits really good all the way around. I forgot to tell you. So now if you just shut the door, you can see the profile. The door is in, way in. You've got to do these C10s with your door pulled out against the lock, because that's where the rubber is going to hold the door. Even up here, you'll see the door is in a little, but with just a tiny bit of pressure, see that? The door is going to sit out against the rubber. I found that out the hard way on my son's truck. So be sure when you're doing your body work that you always yank out on the door. Set your gaps there. You'll be a lot happier. This has been another episode of The Family's Garage. We're super stoked and happy you guys are here. You got any questions about what we're doing here, building this project recession proof, just hit us up with a comment, let us know. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks, guys.